DJs, is the price tag of a Mac really worth it? I mean, it's a well-known fact that you can get a similar or better spec'd PC for less money. With that said, why would you even look at a Mac in the first place? There are a lot of factors to go into choosing a platform to work with, and today I'm going to explain to you why I think Mac is the best option. Let's get into it. In my past life, I worked in IT as a support tech, consultant, and engineer. I did so for a full decade of my life. I love technology, and even though I don't work for an IT company anymore, I still love to keep up to date with the world of IT. In my roles, I have used, managed, implemented, and repaired both Mac and PC platforms. I have a thorough knowledge of both platforms and continue to use them both to this day. What I'm about to tell you isn't just an opinion that I think. This is coming from a place of experience and practical use. This is not a fanboy video where I'm just going to tell you that Mac is better and that's it. I absolutely love Windows. As a matter of fact, the computer that I'm editing this video with is a Windows PC. However, I just don't think everybody should use a Windows machine. Macs do cost a considerable amount of cheddar, but are they worth it? Let's go over the pros and cons of owning a Mac. Our first pro is the fact that Macs are just easy to use.
That was easy.
Mac is well known for its intuitive user interface and the fact that it just works. Apple really focuses on keeping the user experience consistent. App developers have to make sure that their apps are consistent with the layout of Mac OS, which means if you know how to get to your settings in one program, chances are you're going to know how to get to your settings in any other program on Mac. Now, not everyone who makes a program for Mac is an app developer, so there are those programs out there that have their own unique user interfaces, but for the most part, Mac programs and apps remain pretty consistent. Not to mention that like 97% of the things you're going to use with your computer are plug and play. Now, some devices like DJ controllers do take drivers, but for the most part, things are just plug and play. They just work. That's the beauty of Mac OS. It's meant to be easy to use, easy to understand, and things just work.
You speak her language?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everything just kind of works with a Mac.
The next pro of a Mac is security. Macs are based on Unix, which is a security-focused foundation for an operating system. Mac is also what is known as a closed ecosystem. That means that app developers get vetted thoroughly to ensure that the apps that are being put out on the App Store are safe and will work for your Mac. Mac also limits user access to critical files, which means that malware is going to have a harder time making changes to your operating system. There's also the tight hardware and software integration that allows Apple to control the security features of both. On top of that, Apple is always releasing new security updates to keep your Mac safe. And the last part is Mac holds a significantly smaller market share in the computer market, which means they're not that attractive to hackers because a hacker wants to attack computers on a mass scale. And if you want to do that, the easiest operating system to attack is Windows. Now, that's not to say that Macs are completely impervious to hacking, because they're not. It's just there's checks and balances in place to prevent it, and there's not a lot of them out there. So realistically, it's not worth a hacker's time to try. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. That just means that it's less likely that it's going to. Mac really does make it so the average user doesn't have to worry about malware or malicious attacks. The next pro is build quality and hardware. If you know, you know. Macs are built like tanks, and they look pretty damn good. Since Mac controls what hardware gets put into their computers, they can optimize said hardware through the OS. That means everything is built and designed to work as it should. The next pro is performance, and honestly, I think this really speaks for itself, especially now that we're in the world of Apple Silicon. Silicon, however you say it. If you use a Mac and PC with identical specs, you're gonna notice that the Mac is gonna run a little bit faster and a little bit better. This is 100% in part to the tight hardware and software integration that Apple has. Macs, specifically the M series chips, are also meant to be really efficient. And what that means is it takes the processor less power to give you 100% of its performance. That translates into longer battery life for those who are using laptops. And don't get me started on the new M4 chips, because they are mind-boggling fast, and they also don't come with some of the issues that the 13th and 14th generation Intel processing chips come with. Next, I'm going to give you a pro that's not really DJ focused, but it's definitely a plus, especially when you're spending the kind of money that you're looking at spending for a Mac. And what I'm talking about is the ecosystem. If you own an iPhone, an iPad, or both, you would 100% benefit from owning a Mac. A Mac computer tightly integrates with iOS to give you a great user experience across all the platforms. Features like handoff or the ability to use your phone through your operating system are really cool, but help with a more productive workflow. And I'm gonna be real with you, once you've used AirDrop between your iDevices and your MacBook, you're never gonna wanna go back. Again, this isn't DJ focused, it has nothing to do with your performances, it's just something I wanna mention because it is an added benefit to owning a Mac and being in that ecosystem. Also, it all just works, and it works really, really well. Last, we have customer support. Apple is an industry leader in support. They focus on the user experience, which means they genuinely give a shit about your problem. They also make it super easy to connect with an agent. You can call Apple, you can text them, you can do an online chat, you can email them, or you can stop at an Apple store. That last part, the store, that is so important because there aren't many PC manufacturers with storefronts. So if you have an issue with your PC, you have to call customer support. If they can't fix it over the phone, you have to send it in to them. It's a whole process. With a Mac, you can just take your Mac to an Apple store and have it looked at by a genius. Now, if you do have to have it sent out or a part needs to be ordered, there is some downtime, but at least you can physically go and pick things up and not have to worry about stuff getting lost or broken in shipping. Plus, there's that added bonus of being able to be face-to-face with the person that's actually helping you. There aren't many PC manufacturers that can offer this type of support to their users. And as an added bonus, AppleCare is relatively cheap for what you're paying for the laptop or computer. Now, this wouldn't be a fair video if I didn't talk about some of the cons of owning a Mac. The first con we run into is the obvious one, and that's price.
If you broke, then just say that.
Now, as you know, Macs aren't cheap. Even the entry-level MacBook Airs are still out of some people's budget. I'll die on this hill saying that they're 100% worth the money, but the truth is, you can get a similar or sometimes better spec'd PC laptop for what you would pay for a MacBook. But at the end of the day, I think the pros far outweigh this particular con. The next con is you can't upgrade a Mac laptop. Things like storage and RAM are soldered directly to the logic board, which means you cannot update them ever. That means what you buy is what you're gonna have to live with. This matters because you wanna get as much use out of your laptop and time with it as you possibly can. This means you wanna future-proof your laptop, but in the Mac world, that means spending a hefty amount of cheddar. And if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, I have a Mac that you can upgrade the RAM and the hard drives, that thing is way too old and you need to retire it. Any Mac worth having cannot be upgraded. So you have to keep that in mind if you're looking to invest into a Mac. And if I gave you a pro that has nothing to do with DJing, I'm gonna give you a con that has nothing to do with DJing. You cannot game on a Mac. Now, Mac is taking steps towards being a little more gamer friendly, but at this current time, there still isn't much you can do in terms of gaming with a Mac. If you want a laptop you can game with, you're not gonna get a Mac, but I would argue that you shouldn't be gaming on your DJ laptop anyway, so why does it matter? The last con is compatibility. There are just some programs that are not available on Mac, but there usually is an alternative program for the Mac based off the program that's on Windows. Plus, if you really had to use Windows software, you could always use a program like Parallels to run Windows software side by side with your Mac software. There are so many things to love about a Mac and Mac OS. My favorite part is everything just works, and you don't have to be a certified IT engineer in order to really use your Mac to its full potential. They're simple, they're secure, and they're built really well. Overall, Mac is just better. And yes, I really said that. They're better in every way. Unless you really want the ability to customize your OS or game, those are the only things that you're not gonna get with a Mac. But as a DJ, somebody who wants to produce music, or if you want to edit your photos or edit videos, there really is no better option than a Mac. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. If you found anything useful, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to the channel. I have a ton of videos explaining the tech that we use as DJs, with a lot more coming down the pipeline. Again, thank you for watching. I'm DJ Seth V, and we out.